session.
Trailers.
That was it, right?
Yes.
And then we'll go through the rest.
Yes. Are we out of executive vote?
Yes, you're out.
Okay, perfect. And then I have case number 20250026. It's an application through Cornelison Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. It's a 46-year-old male applying for cremation expenses for his 74-year-old mother. It does appear that they meet criteria to be eligible for assistance, and he has agreed to a $25 a month repayment plan upon approval of this application.
Any questions?
We're up with the same thing here. He's got a house on 19th.
So he doesn't own that house. I do believe that they're renting.
Because I see the address is on 19th.
Yes.
So he has no other assets?
No, he does not.
I'm okay with that.
I'd go ahead and make a motion that we approve case 20250026. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Signature. All right, Todd.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Todd Mauger with Bannock County Juvenile Justice. I'm here this morning to review and request a signature on a grant from the International Institute for Restorative Practices. Basically, the contract is for a grant that we wrote and received an award for from the Idaho Department of Juvenile Corrections. It's the Restorative Justice Grant. The contract would allow us to do restorative practice training, circle training, and restorative conference training to 30 individuals. The cost of that, I'm a trainer, the cost of that would allow for books for those 30 people. I would do the training. And then the majority of the contract is for having the IRP come out. Of those 30 individuals that we train, we would provide a training of 10 trainers so that they could then do the training I'm doing. And so that's what the contract's for. It's been submitted to Jonathan. There was some questions regarding the governing law. And I don't know if Jonathan, you want to talk about that a little bit?
I'm going to go ahead and recommend the commission sign the contract. It does indicate that any litigation on the contract will be done in the state of Pennsylvania. However, the likelihood of litigation on this contract is slim to nothing. And so I just don't see it as a significant risk that there would be any litigation. They're going to come do the services, and that'll be the end of the contract.
I've worked closely with this organization. I think I was trained in, it had been 2008, maybe even more, but I've worked pretty much with them pretty consistently throughout the years and never had any challenges or issues regarding that type of stuff, so.
Any questions?
That's good to me.
Motion?
I will make that motion that we approve the signature for the service contract.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right. Stay right there. Next one's Nancy, with you on.
Right, and I just
Also.
submitted it in case Todd wasn't gonna be able to be here.
I happen to be here for the
You
contract.
can go ahead and speak to it. It's just a intent to apply for a grant that he regularly applies for, and there's no match, and so we've already recommended that he start his application before we were able to get it before you, so.
It's for our Families in Action program, which is our substance abuse education program. It's an evidence-based program. There's 6 sessions. We usually teach, and what we'd probably request again is 6 cohorts. It provides for books, training for our leaders, and then it does pay the staff that provide the facilitation of the teens and the parent groups.
Okay. Any questions on this one?
No, looks good to me.
Motion on it.
I will make that motion that we give permission to request that
Begin
grant.
the
Yeah.
application.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Shanda.
Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I have 3 items before the board today. The first one is to discuss a potential signature on a contract with Conrad and Bischoff. We went out to bid for fuel services for the county and received bids back in. Conrad and Bischoff were the low bid and has been awarded, and this contract has been extended to them and they've signed it, and I would recommend that the board sign the contract with Conrad and Bischoff.
Okay, we've had discussion about it. Any?
Yeah, the only thing that I had any heartburn at all on it was there was some language in there about automatic refills.
And you had mentioned that before. Buddy and I spoke briefly about it, and in section 5, when they're talking about that our fuel monitoring system, we gave the option. There's 3 different ways that we can order. One of it being that automated fuel monitoring system, the other being the telephone, and the last being email. So this will give them the option as those monitors get installed that they can do it one of any 3 ways. And like you mentioned, right, bed out, watch it, monitor it, be on top of it. This just allows flexibility for them.
Okay, and it did say in there that it was within 24 hours. Once that
That
order
they had
was
to
in,
deliver.
there's a reason for that, because the price could go up at midnight.
Right.
So as long as, I just was wanting to make sure this wasn't just an automatic refill. Somebody on our side is at least looking at that, whether a verbal or whatever it is. And I don't have a problem with the contract, but I don't know how you would change that other than our own, the way we do it. And if they think they can handle that, I have no problem with dealing with it. I'm just being aware of that.
Right?
Because we're talking thousands of dollars possibly over a
Oh.
year's time.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah,
over the year.
with-
Yes,
But
correct.
just the difference in today
Oh.
versus tomorrow,
Gotcha.
it is significant. So as long as they're trusting their system, I don't have a problem with that. Just being
And-
aware of that.
And I would recommend the commission can follow up. Buddy at Road and Bridge has been kind of put in charge of this one and can follow up at any time as those monitors get put in place and kind of watch. I know they're going to be watchful of it the first little bit, right, until they get comfortable of how things work. But I'm sure you could follow up with them at
Okay.
any time and just make sure that it's working well for us, right, staying on top of those price changes as
Okay.
well.
And with that, I'd go ahead and approve I'd make the recommendation we approve that contract.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You, Jason.
The next item I have before the board is the potential signature on a change order with CM Company. This is the company that's doing the remodeling outside of 6th Street. This particular change order is for the bollards for the ADA push buttons. We adjusted that from being mounted on the wall to be put on a bollard, a little more easy access for various ADA individuals, as well as additional sidewalks that we needed in order to match that slope that we had to adjust a while back. This is the last anticipated change order, so hopefully we are complete with those, but I would recommend that the board sign the change order with CM Company.
Any questions about this one?
Well, I think, so the only question I had was, is it just an automatic $2,500? It says sidewalk addition minimum rate. So they've already understood exactly how many yards of concrete that's going to take. It just said on the invoice itself, it's just a
Right, for
flat
Sierra.
2,500. So has that been determined, measured? Is that, I'm just curious how they come up with exactly $2,500.
Right, for it. Dan would be able to speak better to that than me, but it does seem right that they at least have a minimum charge that they're going to charge us,
Which scares me with that word minimum in there.
right?
And that's, I mean, they've
Right.
they've measured it out.
Right, but that's what I say,
Yeah.
the word minimum in there, I kind of went, okay. So if it comes out more than that, or if they have some other things,
Oh, no, sorry, my vote on this one is that, like, regardless, if they're pouring like one pad, right? Or they're pouring 3, they've got to have a minimum X number of dollars, right? That's their $2,500.
Okay.
This one, for this change, for this sidewalk, will not see another
Okay,
change.
so that's not the invoice, because that, I understand that they have to have a minimum to come out. So that is,
Yes.
okay, that's
Right.
not the actual invoice or.
No, CM Company is going to actually cover that
Okay.
actual invoice to Sierra Fin Construction. This changes the contract we have with CM Company to allow us to pay them an additional, and for all of the work, right, $3,782
Okay,
for this one.
so what are we paying for concrete now? Anybody know what the yard rate for concrete is?
Well, my garage was $28,000 for the concrete.
That just scares me to realize how much is going into houses and construction on there, but concrete, we're in the wrong business.
And you
Why did that
might-
cement plant close down?
Exactly. So,
And you might have noticed if you've walked the project recently, there are some heaves out there. We're waiting till the weather calms down to see which ones go back to where they're supposed to. Both Ted Booth is watching that as well as CM Company, and have full plans to come back in once the weather settles to adjust, change, re-pour, anything that needs to be
We
done.
have some crack.
So what do we do to prevent frost heaves next year or the year after? What remedial action are they gonna take? Are they gonna pour it thicker? Are they gonna put rebar in there? If it's heaved this year, which, yes, it was cold, but we've had worse
Chances are it's
weather
gonna
than
be-
this out there. What's to stop it from heaving again in 2 years from now when we're under the
Yeah.
gun to have to replace that?
Let me ask that question, get more details, and then I can come back to you on Thursday. I'm scheduled for a procurement update.
Okay.
And I can come back with real
I'd like to
answers
see
then.
how, if we just put concrete back in because of frost,
Chances
that
are
doesn't
next
fix
year.
the problem.
Yep.
So whether they need to go
Some
deeper,
moisture
whether they need to
underneath,
go,
yeah.
a new base underneath it, whether there is water in the gravel underneath, whatever it was caused the frost, I would just soon get some sort of expert opinion on this is how we're gonna do this so we don't have it again.
Okay.
Whether it's rebar, but I know you gotta have the expansion joints in there. So I'm just curious to see if we're gonna have this bill every 2
Timing
years.
and moisture.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what happened.
So hopefully, if they're confident that that's gonna fix that, I'm okay with it. But
Okay. But let me
otherwise,
get
I'd
you
like
a
little
better answer. Yeah, let me get you a better
The
answer
CM
from
group's
them.
been very, very
Yeah,
positive.
so-
They've stood behind everything they've done.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I'll reach out and get a better answer for you. and
Do
have it
we
for you
get any,
Thursday.
what kind of length of time of warranty do we get on this work?
So labor and materials is gonna be a year, but I don't know to what extent Mother Nature can,
Well, you
Like,
can't
so-
pick that, but there is a year of, that we can come back and say this
With
wasn't
CM
done
company,
right. We took-
yeah.
okay.
yes. Yep, but I can get a better answer as far as the remediation that we'll do
Okay.
on those sidewalks for you on Thursday.
And with that, I'm okay to go ahead and make the motion that we approve that change order.
we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 The last item I have before the board is a potential signature on a change order with Headwaters Construction. This company is heading up the project for the Event Center YDC building, and this change order is for the additional lighting that we asked them to install, the exterior lighting. They revised all fixtures, and they are installing that three-phase breakers on 3 poles out there. We were hoping that we could adjust and change things after we got in there and had everybody meet together and have that discussion. It was decided to move forward with the 3-phase. So that's what this change order is for.
I don't have any problem with that. I'll make the motion that we go ahead and approve that.
We have a
That
motion.
change in it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect. I'll get with CM Company then and have a better answer for you in a couple days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tristan. Welcome.
Tristan Borquin, Assistant Planning Director, and we have Hal Jensen, Director, here today as well. We're just here in front of you to start conversations about the area of impact negotiations for all of the cities in the county. as you know, July 1st of 2024, a new legislation went into place that areas of impact need to be renegotiated or modified by December 31st of this year. So knowing that the time frame is short, we're looking to start those conversations with you and see how we want to proceed.
Quickly.
I think we just set the standard and meet with each city. We can
So
invite them here.
the statute puts the responsibility to the commissioners, which we're here to say, how do we assist and how do we help, because we are directly involved. It also affects what's going on with the comp plan and then with the ordinance rewrite, et cetera. And we're hitting you cold and just asking, what are your thoughts about it? How do we proceed? And
Well, I think the basis behind it was that if they can't hook fixtures up or make it part of the city within, what, 5 years?
5 years.
well, and in that process, we need to have those conversations with the cities, and they need to provide us a defensible position with some historical data as well as other conversations that are currently being held to know what is potentially coming. But it's fairly nebulous to say we can be here in 5 years, but in the same token, who knows that they won't? It's going to be interesting as we work with cities of Pocatello, Chubbuck. The small cities will be much easier.
I've had conversations with 2 different cities, you know, and told them this was coming. And I don't think they knew it was coming. So I don't know how well the words got out to the small cities. I think the big ones do. I think in my recommendation, I think we need to have a meeting with all of the, invite all of them in one meeting. There's no sense explaining that 200 times.
Okay.
I would like to get a meeting to where we invite them to a meeting with whoever they feel like. I don't want it a public meeting we got every resident out there, but I would, at least the mayors or anybody else that they would like. And then we sit down and present the statute, here's what it needs to take place, the guidelines that the state has, this is why, this is the where. I talked to 2 different mayors and they go, we didn't know that, but that makes sense. And I just think if we approach it on the, we need your help going that, so I would propose we put together a meeting between the commissioners and all of the city that we can get there to get it started, and then it will direct itself through there. The water will run its own course. I
Okay.
think we'll find out where.
Well, there's some counties that have already done it.
Yeah.
And we can
So I think
go through that
sooner the
too and
better.
talk to them and see exactly what they've done.
Do you happen to know who those are, Commissioner Moser?
I was thinking that one of them was Franklin, and I'm not sure that Bingham hasn't.
Okay.
I talked to a couple when I was in Boise a month ago, and I can't remember which ones I talked to,
Okay.
because we talked about a lot of different things in different counties. So I'll follow up on that and see what's happening in a couple of other counties.
For instance, one of the items that was brought to my attention, and I read over it probably 2 or 3 times and just didn't even pay attention, but when we create a new area of impact, we are required to notify by certified mail anybody that lives within that new area of city impact. But ultimately, the city has to pay for it by statute.
Oh.
So,
Which only makes sense that,
pardon?
which only makes sense because anything we're doing, the people are gonna be involved, whether it's a zoning change or whatever, so. But it is good that they have to pay for it.
I mean, ultimately, it says that the county does the legwork, but the ultimate bill is paid for by the city that's being impacted. So if they don't even know about the statute and what's coming, there's going to be small cities that if they say this is what we want to do, and we come back to them and say, oh, by the way, this is what's going to take place, do you have X amount of dollars in your budget for all of these mailings, et cetera? Because certified letters can rack up a pretty quick bill.
Well, that may change the desire for how big the area of impact is.
Well,
Is that the existing area of impact or the new one?
The new one.
Okay, so let's say, the small cities, as I've visited with them, I point blank ask them, what would you be able to service with your utility structures in the next 5 years? And they go, hardly anything. I said, exactly.
Correct.
So I don't, the small cities, I think the city of Chubbuck's gonna be in trouble with all the growth that's on the north side. I think that's gonna be the biggest impact, I'm afraid.
Well, and we all know, for lack of a better description, there's some friction there between Pocatello and Chubbuck relative to the sewer system and who has how much capacity, and there's a number of things that are going to complicate what takes place with, in my mind, with Pocatello and Chubbuck. I will share with you that we have had preliminary conversation with Lava. They have some ideas already generated and would like to meet, but that said, we should probably have, as you've suggested, a kickoff meeting, make a plan of attack, list out the particular items that would be followed so they're aware of where we would be going and go from there.
I think in addition to that, I think if you keep that general, but I think the small cities are gonna have different issues. I don't want all of the small cities to be drug into the whirlpool that's gonna be created by Pocatello and Chubbuck. If we need to have further discussions with them, I'd just soon meet with them without all the others having to sit through all of that.
But honestly, we had good communication during COVID. We met with all of them,
Yeah.
all together, and we had a lot of, every week we'd have discussions, and everybody worked out
Yeah,
together. And in fact, the city of Ingham benefited because of that, because when their wells went down, they couldn't find anything, and Mayor Bladd sent a truck out there to help. That got their water system back up, and without the communications back and forth, I don't think that would have happened.
And it's probably time for a good
Everybody needs to get to know Kenny.
Yeah, we need probably a meeting between all of us once in a while anyway.
So, in light of the fact that it's assigned to the commission, we're basically asking, what do you want us to do? So do you want us to take the initiative and establish the meetings, work with Christie to get established on your calendar, have 2 meetings, one with Chubbuck, Pocatello, one with all of the remaining small cities, or do we group them all together for the kickoff? How would you like us to proceed?
I think we just meet together.
Okay.
Have the first meeting, have a kickoff,
With
invite
all?
invite all, so that everybody hears the exact same thing the first time. And then as we need to go a little more individual with each one, but it'll give us a game plan to start with. And yes, I would like you to initiate the conversations.
Okay, I believe, Tristan, correct me if I'm wrong, each of these requires 2 public hearings for each area of city impact. So
Once we get to that point, yes.
you can see that when we
Which
start.
means we gotta get moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
The nice thing is that both of them do get to be with the commission. The code actually says that we don't have to go to council for a recommendation first, so.
This is straight legislation from the commission, period.
I think, feel free to invite them on behalf of us.
Okay, we will do so. We'll work
But
with,
I would recommend you just take the lead and get it done, because you're gonna have the urgency to get it done probably more than what our calendars, I would just do what you could do and let us know. But it's coming from us, we're aware of that, but you can go ahead and use
our initial thoughts are that we have the kickoff meeting, then we need to meet with each respective city individually and let them know our interpretation and understanding of the language of the statute, and then ask them to provide us a defensible position on where will you be within 5 years. And then when they come back to us, we would then create a new area of city impact map that we would work, for all intents and purposes, directly with the commission, because the commission, as I understand the statute, tells the city what they will give them.
And that's my understanding.
And I don't mean to be-
The ultimate decision comes down to us.
And I don't mean to be
but
that
we'd like to
blunt, but that's
coordinate.
as blunt as the statute is. And so at that point, once that's decided, then we can move forward for advertisement and public hearings. So-
Which they're all gonna need your help
Okay,
in walking through this.
Okay.
They just don't have the staff by themselves to know what you know. That's why you guys being involved from the very word go is, to me, the best move forward.
Perfect.
So, probably the sooner the better. Because it's gonna take, I sincerely doubt it's gonna get done by the end of the year. I mean, it would.
It is.
It is, but I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if they end up having to extend it because of a lot of issues around the state. But
Well-
we'll do our due diligence to get it done. But
well,
It's currently written that they disappear if they don't get modified or completed by December 31st. So hopefully we can get them done.
We'll get it.
So what's the ramifications to these small cities if it doesn't get done?
They just don't have an ACI or an ACI
Right.
agreement.
So,
which for some of our small cities, that's
That's,
not a big worry.
yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to be flippant about it, but
most of them. Because most of them don't have the resources to provide water
and
and
they're not,
sewer
they're not
beyond what they have
experiencing,
now.
they're not experiencing growth patterns as other particular areas, so yeah.
Income's maxed on sewer.
And so is, my understanding, the city of McCammon is having to reline some old existing cells to keep up with their capacity, and their one well went down. So I don't think they're in a real position to argue about an area of impact a whole lot. They just can't provide it.
Well, and that said, there's plenty of interior opportunity within the current city limits for development. And in reality, in some of those instances, that's the focus we should really be pushing. However, that precludes personal property rights and the fact that somebody who has property outside of the city limits may want to develop, et cetera. There are particular things that become problematic that we need to work through with those small cities and understand, but we won't know until we have those conversations.
Okay.
Anything else?
We're in good hands, I know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is a discussion about funding for Commissioner Chamber remodel. Christie sent us out an email. You wanna-
So my understanding is the Chamber's remodel budget is about $35,000, going to be $35,000 more than originally anticipated. I looked at a couple different funding sources. I think the best option would be to move unused chief of staff salary monies down to B, and that would still allow you to replace that position at the end of March, in April, something like that. The other option would be is you could use potential litigation monies or grant match monies that are sitting in county operations, although we've already kind of dipped into those two lines for other purposes, and if we're going to continue to dip into those lines, we probably should just start budgeting as contingency instead of earmarking those dollars for something that we're not using them for. But the salary monies, if we move from A to B, those are monies we can't use for anything else anyways. It would just take a resolution that I could get to Nancy, and we have that money available.
And that's what I would just soon do myself. I've talked to Daniel a little bit about this and stuff, and I just want to set this up the right way the first time. When we first started talking about it and we was short on funds, we wasn't set up the way we're going to set it up now. And I think that we need to make this facility the right way the first time we do it, instead of doing halfway.
I'm going to ask a couple questions, and it's not to, but I guess I'm not in favor of moving. I guess I just need in my mind why. What is the benefits of moving an established traditional place that, if I was to come to the county for, other than to pay fines or go to court, most of the business that I'm going to deal with is going to be on this floor. the clerk's office, the treasurer's office, or whatever it is, people use, for the most part, the main entrance. They're coming up, this has been the place for the commissioner's chambers forever. Are we doing it for another reason? I guess I'm an old traditionalist. Is there value in, and I understand that they're gonna remodel or whatever, but we could do the same thing in here. I guess I'm just asking the question of, what's wrong with us staying put here? I'm not saying I'm against that, I'm just asking that question of, because when people do come I enjoy walking through this main hall because I get a chance to see the people in the clerk's office or whatever. I get to see people up here that I wouldn't see downstairs as a commissioner. I get to mingle with people, and for probably the large portion of people who come into this county, other than court systems or to pay fine, are on this floor. They're coming to the clerk's office or they're going to the treasurer's office. That's probably the number one reason they come here. And if they're all familiar with coming here for the commissioner's chambers, are we going to have to redirect everybody, down there, which we can do? I guess I'm just asking a loaded question of why.
Well, first we was gonna remodel.
Yeah.
And as we remodeled courtrooms and that became available, originally we was talking about sending HR down there. And then when we moved HR here and started looking at a training facility off the side of HR and to open that up down there, we were gonna expend the funds to go ahead and do it.
And is it going to be what's the top advantages of moving from here down to there? I guess that's my question I'm asking too.
One of the things that we had talked about is it is a bigger room. When you're sitting here, it doesn't really feel like it, but it's quite a bit bigger when you take that back closet out of there, which will expand it quite a bit for capacity for public hearings and things like that. That was one of the things that we talked about.
And then when you're talking about accessibility, that is on the ground floor. And so ADA compliance and making it available and accessible, that is actually a better facility. And that's just some of the things that we talked about. And it is actually simpler to remodel that instead of not having a facility for us, and remodel that and then bring this into and make this a training and make this accessible. I'm better at that.
Okay.
I'm
not against it. I just was trying to ask the question. I'm an old traditionalist. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. But
well,
I'm
it's
not
broke
saying
because
it's broke. So
the way this facility right here is set up, it doesn't. The flow is not the best. And so,
the flow for
the tables and
meetings.
people coming up and the podium or whatever, and it just, and then you change this room around to try to do a training session backwards. It was just some of those things that we talked about. And so we felt like it was better off to bring the courthouse up a little bit, and that's just like this kind of stuff. When this was originally made the chambers, we didn't have computers.
there was 3 offices across here.
Yeah,
Probably a lot of open meeting law violations about then, but so.
We're not admitting anything.
Well,
Whichever way it goes, I'm excited that, because, Matthew has been doing some of those trainings already, and there was a big group of people in here, what was that, last week? And some attended via Zoom. And I'm just really excited about having a county training room that everyone can use, but HR is going to use it the most, but.
and I come up to that meeting, and the information was good, but the presentation, because of the electronics and stuff, wasn't.
Yeah.
Some people couldn't hear it, and they went off. I've had people tell me that, but, so, let's do it right this time. That's my thoughts. So,
Whichever room, we'll take the other.
so I'd go ahead and say, let's go ahead and take monies that were set aside for the chief of staff that we haven't expended. Let's go ahead and put that towards this resource.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not against it, I guess I was just looking for some,
Okay, I'll get,
some of the logic and the reasoning behind it, so.
I'll get Nancy the information to do the resolution.
Okay.
And that will leave, like I said, it'll leave money in that line item.
We're gonna make any of those guys mad?
Not the dead one.
You know what? They run for the position. They're used to disappointment.
Some of them guys probably very part-time back when this
Mhm.
county was small, so wasn't anything like it is now.
No.
Okay,
Are we good there?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have resolutions and ordinances. Resolution number 2025-16, establishing and appointing Ag Protection Area Commissioners. Resolution number 2025-17, approving February 2025 alcohol licenses. And resolution number 2025-18, approving February 2025 salaries. Any comments, questions?
looks good to me.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the resolutions as stated. Oh, too many lines on here.
Just pick one.
I did, but it was the wrong one. But they actually move. Jeff's in the middle on that one. We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye. It's all good. All right, next, under letters and notices, we have a public hearing notice. This is a public hearing for the comprehensive plan and sediment erosion control ordinance. The hearing would be on Tuesday, March 25th at 11 a.m. here in this courtroom, or in this chamber. Comments on that?
no,
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the public hearing notice. Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
all right.
Aye.
Anita called, she was going to move over for this next one, so if you have some questions, I can try to respond to those for you.
Got lots of questions. No, it's all garbage. So, the next we have, for signature only, tax cancellation, a request from our assessor. Any comments, questions?
No, make a motion that we go ahead and authorize that signature.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye. All right, then we have the consent agenda, which has certificate of residency, and this is a denial, not an approval. Then we have the salary rate approval forms, and then minutes from February 13th, 18th, 20th, and 25th. Any questions on the consent agenda?
no, other than I won't be able to approve the minutes on the 25th, because I wasn't here. But I'll have to take your word for whatever's on those minutes.
Well, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. All right, with that being said,